AskReddit by Fly Me to Insanity. What is a double standard that doesn't involve gender? You're eccentric if you have money, you're plain old crazy if you don't. Also, if you're attractive, you're quirky. If you're unattractive, you're effing weird. Here's one my father taught me when I turned 21. If you're sitting at a bar alone, then you're drinking. If you're sitting at a table with another person, then you're having cocktails. If you drink alone, you're an alcoholic. If you drink with other people, you're just socializing. So many that have to do with class. Tiny homes are seen as cool and trendy, while trailers are stigmatized. Except if the trailer is an Airstream, or otherwise fancy, then you're choosing trailer life and it's cool. If someone popular is goofy, it's fun and quirky, but if someone unpopular does the same thing, they are weird and it's unacceptable. If a socially attractive couple, or even person, posts a silly goofy video or of it of being cute, it's cute. If they're a socially unattractive couple, or person, it's cringe. I used to follow so many good cringe accounts on it cause the reels were funny, and then it just evolved to finding random happy people and just being like, cringe. If it's cringe for them, it's cringe for the attractives too. Taking money from the government is a double standard depending on whether you're rich or poor. Or depending on whether you're a business or a person. If you day drink while you're rich, it's seen as elegant and classy. If you day drink while you're poor, then it's trashy. Shift worker here, and I love day drinking, and this is absolutely true. Drink at the casino and play slots on a Wednesday at 1 PM and you're considered a loser. Go to a wine bar at 1 PM on a Wednesday and it's full of well-dressed rich housewives giving it a real nudge who plan on driving home. If you have many jobs and interests and are poor, you lack focus. If one of those things makes you rich, you suddenly become a multifaceted entrepreneur. This made me feel better about having multiple jobs, different skills, interests. I saw a rich, white lady overdosed in what the news referred to as a cocaine apartment. What a cute term for crack house. When a poor person does a lot of drugs, it's a crime and they go to jail. When a rich and or famous person does a lot of drugs, it's a scandal and they go to rehab. Attractive versus unattractive treatment is gender neutral. Pretty privilege is real and is totally unrelated to gender. Getting free stuff from the government is seen as trashy and greedy if you're poor, but classy and smart if you're rich. It's a handout if the government gives a small amount to the poor, but job creation when millions are given to companies. Extreme penalties for beneficiary fraud vs small penalties for tax evasion. Not gonna lie, I was a little disappointed when China removed the death penalty for corporate finance crimes a few years back. Being overweight is never really seen as an eating disorder, but being underweight almost always is. I love this one. I've experienced both sides. When I was underweight, I was treated like a baby deer by everybody. Are you okay, honey? You need to eat some food. This guy I work with does the exact same job as me, will get to leave early because he's related to the owner. I don't because I'm not. Well, that's nepotism for you. There's a thin line between collector and hoarder. Usually tidiness, not volume. The expectations of a firstborn vs subsequent kids. The duty of the firstborn is to be a massive disappointment to their parents so they chill out with their later kids. Employee has to be on time and do their work. Management fucks off hunting, fishing and dumps their work on employees. Luckily it does not involve my department, so I just get to watch the clown show. Also, rules that are in place for good reason, and are supposed to be universal, don't apply to management. Egg, working in a kitchen. If one of us plebs was caught without a hat hairnet, we'd be disciplined. Managers, including store area managers, would come in milling about without one. I guess when you make manager, your hair magically ceases to shed. A few years ago I saw a headline: college student is arrested with 400 kgs of cocaine. Weird way to say drug lord. Mad at someone for buying in bulk? Going to bang Costco next? A short man getting angry is Napoleon complex, but a tall guy getting angry is just getting angry. I see this one all the time at work. My boss is a short dude with a ton of stress. Very smart guy, has his JD and LLM, makes a killing and has a beautiful family. God forbid he shows his anger or disappointment when something goes really wrong, because then all the shitty comments come out when he isn't around. When rich kids know 2 languages, it's so brilliant. When poor kids know 2 languages, because immigrants, no one bats an eyelid. Sometimes people will be impressed that I can speak Spanish and it feels pretty weird, like, you know, almost all the immigrants in this country learned a second language too, right? Expecting 17-20-year-olds to be mature and act like adults but still treating them like they are little kids. Individual welfare bad. Corporate welfare good. You think criminal laws are too harsh? Well, maybe you should try not being a criminal. You think regulations are too harsh? Tell your industry lobbyists to tell the government that the regulatory burden is unreasonable. Just once I'd like to hear of someone getting charged for selling drugs or making moonshine argue in court that they are trying to make an honest living with their business but the regulatory burden is too high. That last paragraph hits home. Whenever I see a company complain about regulatory burden, I just assume that those rules are there for a reason. I'm usually right. Society is sympathetic towards physical health issues but often dismissive or stigmatizing towards mental health problems. This double standard can make people with mental health issues feel isolated and hesitant to seek help, perpetuating the stigma around mental health. Fiffy. Sympathetic towards visible physical health issues. Bashing people behind their back who you don't see as cool enough to be in your own social circle when they do anything immoral, but then having no problem looking the other way when their friends and family members do similar things. Sadly, I have seen that this type of hypocrisy doesn't end at high school graduation. That's why you insult your friends and family behind their backs too. You aren't two-faced or a hypocrite if you are consistently the worst. When a snake unhinges its jaw to swallow an animal whole, that's nature running its course. But when I do it, suddenly everyone's screaming and I'm the Antichrist. FR people these days are so judgmental. When the F your feelings folk get triggered by literally everything. I remember my first realization of how wacky these guys are when the media was up in arms about Starbucks plain red cups for Christmas. All of a sudden it was a war on Christmas. Because Starbucks wanted to save money on fancy designs on their cups and mayo.